middle school. When I got to high school, it was a little more consistent. But early education, I didn't really have any interest in it.
Okay. So school was good. You played ball in high school, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So while you were playing
I
ball in
played.
high school, and I know you enjoyed that,
I
but
did.
that did not deter you from going out there hustling and doing your thing.
It did not. And as a matter of fact, the reason why I kicked off the team was, my head coach telling me that I was a better gang member than football players. And he didn't never want to bury any of his players. So, it was a tough decision for him to cut me from the team. And that was another moment that was pivotal in my life is when I got cut from the football team, and it gave me 100% focus on running the streets.
So how did that make you feel when you got cut from the team? Did you feel rejected, or did you feel like, oh, this is another part of my life that's going in the wrong direction, or what?
At that time, I did feel I felt betrayed. Uh, I didn't feel that there was anybody on the team that worked as hard as me and showed up as hard as me, and I would beat myself up before I went out and beat up other teams. So, for me, it was almost as if when I was cut from the team, they betrayed me, and I didn't understand later on why they did it, but I didn't feel that cutting me from the team was anything that they should have done, at that time, because of course my mentality was selfish. I had a selfish mentality, and I wanted to do everything that I wanted to do, and there was no disciplinarians in my life at that time. So if there was anybody there that was a good example of what I should have done to maintain a career in football, then I think, my entire life would have changed. And of course, if my mother and father was around, I think it would have changed as well. But to answer your question, yeah, I did. I don't think I felt. I think I felt more betrayed than anything. And of course, me getting cut from the team just fed my ego more and more, and I just started knowing a lot more things in the streets. And just like you said, staying out at night, drinking, smoking weed. I never dealt with hard drugs or anything like that. I've never been a casual drinker or none of any of those things. I know I was in bad situations, and I never did anything to prevent myself from being in those situations.
Right. So there's a lot of gangs out there, especially in Los Angeles area. There's a lot of gangs and what have you. And I always hear, even when I worked in the juvenile halls, I would always hear kids say, "Well, that's my family. Those are my family. That's my family. That's my family." And really, even though I was around gangs and stuff coming up, I really couldn't really connect to that until I actually seen some of the things that were going on. When children feel disconnected, betrayed, lonely, or whatever, feel like nobody cared, then someone comes along and say, "You are my family. I care about you." Is that how it was for you in being a part of a gang?
Emphatically, it's the truth. And that's all gangs are made up of is, a lot of people that come from similar backgrounds, that come from broken homes.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
That come from substance abusers, come from emotional abusers, physical abusers, alcoholism, and things like that, that doesn't get a nurturing attention in the household that they were that they're supposed to get. So when you start running the streets and you meet up with people from these similar backgrounds, of course you become connected, on similarities. Even if these similarities are negative, you become connected on them.
So true.
Of course, if we're focused on the same things, how can we mesh? But I don't think at that time we knew what we were doing was wrong, because this was our environment. Of course, it stems from the saying, you are your environment. We didn't have a lot of productivity in our community, or examples as I spoke on earlier of what we supposed to look like in evaluating productivity. So, of course, us running the streets, it was a lot of different people that come from similar backgrounds that made up the gangs, and like you said, it made us feel whole.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're gonna fast forward a little, because you, your brother, and your cousin are have been sentenced over 200 years. I think 213, 200 and what is it, 27 and 37, and the youngest was sentenced 154 years.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're gonna not so much talking about the crime itself. If you want to talk a little bit about that, you can, but and that's up to you. I want to, set a foundation for that, how this started. We already know there was some things going on. It wasn't a whole lot of parental guidance. There was a lot of things that were happening. Yet there were this situation where it was a robbery at a used car lot, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
And do you want to say anything about that, or we can just go on to the court stuff?
Yeah, it was a robbery that I feel got out of hand, and there were things that happened that.
I don't want you to go into a lot of details either, because we're doing
right. Okay, I understand. And so let's just keep it vague and say, it was a robbery that got out of hand, and as time goes on, we'll get more into details about the rest of the crime.
Yeah.
But I do want to point out that there were people that were involved in this robbery that wasn't involved in other aspects of this crime, as you know. And of course, because of legal reasons, we can't get into those things. But I'm pretty sure as this podcast goes on, we'll expound on it more.
Yes, because we are trying to get the attention of the public, and we want help. We want input. Anybody have any suggestions or whatever? Because we're trying to get the attention of the public also, so we can get this resentencing on its way.
Right.
Okay, so
yes, ma'am.
You're arrested, and we know there was a lot of stuff going on, people telling on people lying on people. There was a lot of stuff going on, and so now you're arrested, but now you're going to court. The trial has begun. So what kind of lawyers did you have?
Man, I had the epitome of what they call a dump truck. My brother had the epitome of what they call a dump truck, and as well as my cousin had the epitome of what they call a dump truck. And I think one of the things that people need to understand the most is, the lawyers that they appoint us are the same lawyers that have lunch and dinner with the district attorneys. So there's not really any positive motive on them attempting to get us back to our families. they don't really care, about people that's from the hood, from the ghettos, from the inner cities, or anything like that. We are considered expendable. So, throughout the duration of this trial, there was a lot of things that was going on that shouldn't have been going on. But I was trying, because of who we were and where we were from. So I don't think that, they really cared about, the people that were on trial more than, just putting us away forever.
Yeah. So you all were 16, 17 and 18. So did you understand the whole court process? Because you really didn't have an adult advocate there with you because they tried you as an adult. One of you went for the juvenile, evaluation, but all of you end up being tried as an adult. And they also sentenced you under the 667 sentencing, which you all didn't really qualify for, but yet they did it. And so as you're sitting there and you're hearing all these things and what have you, and if the judge is asking you, do you understand, what is your public defender saying to you?
I mean, everything that the judge said, everything that my lawyer said, they might as well have been talking Chinese, because we didn't understand it at all. And, whatever the judge said, and, he'll at the end of it, he'll ask you, do you understand? And, of course, we look to our public defenders, and he just nod his head, and you look at the judge and say yes. So there wasn't anything in detail that we were able to express, through our own understanding, but it was all on our public defender's understanding.
Yes. And so what happened when that time came and the sentencing came, when they sentenced you, what happened when you heard the time that they had given you?
Oh my God. When they said the astronomical number of years, it's, even as a young man, you kind of grasp it. And like you said, there was no family members in attendance. There wasn't anybody that could pat me on the back and tell me that
this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
No, it was just, it was, I felt less than a human being at that time. And, it almost seemed like, a slave just being chosen to go through all of these years, as a slave in the belly of the beast.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
That's what it almost felt like.
Okay. We're going to pause and call right back.
Okay.
Okay. Lonnie, you were talking about how you felt when you were sentenced and you had all those years they were throwing at you.
Right. It was all, and I was saying before the phone hung up the last time, it almost felt like a slave auction. And, me being selected, to go to a slave plantation and, they're there for life, separated from family and, in the hills and the dirt roads of prison. And it just made me feel less than a person. And it was a horrible feeling that day. It was horrible. And I'll never forget it, and I remember it like it was yesterday.
Right. And so, after getting that sentence, what was your attitude once you were housed in prison?
And honestly, and please forgive my language, but I felt like fuck the world. And I felt like it was me against everybody. And, coming into prison, the same rules apply to the way that you build your reputation on the streets. You have to build your reputation in prison. So I came in violent, and I was